The Fanboy, episode 121. Hi everybody, Mario-Francisco Robles, MFR here with you, and this is episode 121 of the Fanboy Podcast, also known as A Very Fanboy Christmas. How's everybody doing out there? So this is it, guys. Today's the big day. It's Christmas Day. Wonder Woman 1984 has arrived in a theater near you somewhere, depending on where you are. And if you're here in the States, you can currently stream the film directly for free or included in your monthly subscription fee. You can stream Wonder Woman 1984 directly to HBO Max. I know I'm going to be doing that later today with my family. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are going to check out and support this superhero extravaganza. And this is going to be a very kind of unique and special show because it's going to be less about, let's discuss all the current events that just popped up in these last 5 minutes. And it's going to be more so a conversation about entertainment in 2020 and all the biggest things that kind of helped me and a guest I have coming on soon get through this insane year. And I can't wait to get to that portion of the episode because, I'm just going to tell you, Brett from the Revengers podcast, my old buddy, we've been friends for, 17 years. And my longtime geek fanboy compadre is on the show with me today. He's going to be right here live, broadcasting from here in Whitestone, here from Estudio Carajo Mierda, right here in my garage. I have Brett coming in and we're going to have an awesome conversation. Very cool things lined up. So for now, since this is a unique and special sort of Christmas episode, I kind of want to start things off with a personal story that kind of ties together a lot of what this show has been about. So hear me out. So you might not know this about me, but I love Superman. And one of the very first exposures I had to Superman as a child was via action figures. I was already made aware of Superman either through cartoons and other media, but the thing that really skyrocketed my love for the character was actually getting to play with an action figure. And actually, I've got it right here, not the exact one, because I have so many that, all their heads eventually fell off because when I was 4, 5, and 6, I was convinced that my Superman figures could fly. Because, it's Superman. So I would just chuck them across the room. So I had like a graveyard of decapitated Superman figures. But this was the figure. And this might be familiar to other 80s babies. But this was for those of you who are watching on the YouTube show, I'm currently displaying the Superman figure that was very popular in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. And I had so many of these, and I have so many of the extra red capes that I would just put them onto G.I. Joes and other figures of mine because I just had so many of these freaking things. But having this action figure really excited and pushed my fandom and appreciation for the character even further because on a daily basis, I would just have Superman fighting all kinds of monsters and creatures, and I would, I have such a warmth for this figure, which, by the way, this particular one, my wife got me for my birthday a few years back, and that's why it's still in its case. But if you look closely, and I'll describe it for those of you who are listening to the show as opposed to watching it. If you look closely, you see how his arms don't bend, and you see how the legs only really move vertically, like up and down, not to the sides and all, and the wrists don't move and the head doesn't move and the waist doesn't really move. See, that sort of stuff used to really bother me when I was little. Even when I was like 6 or 7 or 8 years old, I would complain to my dad about the fact, and not like, complaining about, why did you get me this crappy toy? I would just sort of vent to him, similar to the way I vent to you guys now. I would vent to Dad about, it's really weird that they make these toys where like the figures can't even do the stuff that the character does. They can't hit the poses that the character can do, can't move in a way that allows you to use your imagination and have them use the abilities that we're used to them having. I always hated action figures that were basically like hard to maneuver little tanks. And my father, you see, a lot of you have complimented or said how wonderful my family movie nights are with my kids. And when I describe, the way that I'm raising my kids and the way I'm passing my fandom down to them and the way I'm honoring all of their little interests and the way that I treat our movies and experiences and geeky things together. And a lot of you have said stuff like, oh, your kids are lucky to have you, or, it sounds like, you guys are having such a great time. And honestly, a lot of that nurturing of their imagination and nurturing of the things that alight their imagination comes from my dad. My dad didn't used to just hear me out about my concerns about action figures, but he would really he would get into it with me too and talk about what a good point that is and that we should write letters to the toy manufacturers. And even beyond that, he knew that for me, the perfect Superman figure would be one that's like the G.I. Joe figures. Because if you remember those, the G.I. Joes that were so big back in the day, they all were superposable. The arms and legs moved in all kinds of positions. They were very maneuverable. They were very tactile. To me, G.I. Joes were like the perfect figures. And I used to use those even with my Star Wars figures because they were the same size. But, my father knew that a Superman that is done in the style of G.I. Joe would be basically the perfect Superman for me. And so for the next several years, we're talking from when I was 7 or 8 until even as old as like 13 or 14, my dad would always humor my desire to find the perfect Superman doll, or action figure, I should say. Not dolls. Shut up. When we would get together for our weekend visits, because my parents were divorced and I only saw my dad a couple days a week, a lot of times we would end up at a toy store, like a Toys R Us or whatever, KB Toys, any number of basically now defunct toy stores. And we would go just to see if by coincidence, not because we saw a commercial or because we heard that there were new Superman figures around, but my father knew that it was important to me to find that perfect one. So for years, we would go to toy stores and visit the DC aisle trying to see, hey, is there an epic Superman figure for Mario? I remember once and this is what a wonderful dad my pop was. I remember once I just told him, we were on the train to Queens and I'm like, Dad, I had a dream last night that they released the perfect Superman figure, that it had all like the G.I. Joe style joints on it and all that sort of stuff. And just based on me saying I had a dream about it, he augmented our path home so we could go to a Toys R Us that night and look for it. That's the kind of dad my dad was and is to this day. He really supports and nurtures that little kid in me. And the long story short of it is I never found that perfect Superman figure. And even into my adult years, get this, even into my 20s and 30s, when I was not even playing with figures anymore or collecting them or doing anything related to that stuff, I still check the action figure aisle every time I go to a department store that has toys. And I still to this day go check to see if there's an epic G.I. Joe style Superman figure. And this year it happened. This year I was at Target. This is about 2 months ago. I was at Target pretty much just to go grocery shopping. But as I often do, when I got to the back of the store and I was in the back aisle, the bread aisle happens to be near the toy section. So I'm like, let me just go see if there's anything interesting in the toy section. At this point, I almost just do it like on autopilot. Like if I see superhero action figures, I gravitate over there and I never buy anything, but I always just have to check on the Superman situation. So 2 months ago, I just wandered over on autopilot to the action figure section of my local Target, and I found him. I found my G.I. Joe style Superman figure. And he even has the other details that really matter to me that I didn't bring up. Like he has the cloth cape, because I never liked the Superman that had the hard plastic shell cape. But DC has released this G.I. Joe style for all kinds of characters. It's not just Superman, obviously. There's a whole DC collection, the whole DC library for you to choose from, done in the style of the classic G.I. Joe toys. So not only does he have the cloth cape, not only is he in the style of the G.I. Joe figures that I loved so much, but he even has the yellow S on the back of the cape, because that's something that's hit or miss on the figures. So I basically found my perfect Superman toy. And what I ended up doing right there on the spot, almost to sort of like bring the whole thing full circle and to get to do something that my father never had the pleasure of doing, is, remember, my son has become a big Superman fan these last 3 or 4 months. After our summer of Superman, after going through all the Reeve movies and Superman Returns and Superman the Animated Series and Man of Steel and BVS and Justice League, my son has become a very big Superman fan, and he doesn't have an epic Superman figure. So I did what my dad couldn't do, because he didn't have the option to back in the day, and I bought my son Sebastian that perfect figure. And I've been waiting for Christmas, because I didn't give it to him. I bought it, and I've had it in my garage down here in Estudio Carajo Mierda. I've had it here in my garage along with 5 other figures from this same line to save until Christmas to give him. And I just had that sort of magical opportunity earlier. It's Christmas Day, and my son opened up his DC figures, and he loved his Superman. But more than anything, for me, like getting to watch my little boy open up this figure that I've been looking for, that I basically dreamt into existence years ago, my G.I. Joe style Superman figure. I mean, it was rewarding as a father. And it was rewarding as that little boy who was looking for this his whole life. And you might notice that I said my son opened his. So why am I holding a sealed one here? Because this one's daddy's. So I'm going to open this. Look, for those of you who are watching the YouTube show, it's almost like you're getting bonus content. You're getting an unboxing video at the same time. But yeah, something that I've already noticed when I opened it for my son, because another big part of this too is just like, okay, it looks great, but what if it feels cheap? What if it's got a bad build, or what if the joints are too loose, or what if it feels like, if I really play with this thing, it's going to break. So I had to be really delicate with it. And something that I found, look, I unboxed it. See, I don't do unboxing videos. I don't know what happens in them, but this thing was in a box. And now it's not. There. Here's your bonus unboxing content. Who loves you? Who gives you bonus content on Christmas? This guy. Okay. So anyway, I was worried about the build, and thankfully my fears were right away put to rest. This thing is sturdy. It's strong. He could hit all the poses that you want Superman to hit. He can do, I'm going to be playing with this thing. I don't know how or why. I don't know what context I'm going to have for playing with my little Superman figure. But I finally found my perfect Superman. So I had to share that, because I got my son a Christmas gift that was extremely rewarding. And I ended up getting myself one too. This is the end of a very long and arduous mission to find this kind of Superman figure. And I managed to also, send pictures of it and describe the whole thing to my dad. And my old man was very satisfied and very happy to hear that his boy and his grandson finally got that perfect Superman figure. Yeah, it's been a great day so far, and it's about to get better. Because now I'm going to bring on my very close personal friend, Mr. Brett Thomas Miro, formerly of the Revengers Podcast, to come on, and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk Wonder Woman 84. We're going to talk some DC on film, of course. We're going to talk Star Wars. We're going to hit up a lot of stuff. So without further ado, here's me with Brett. Hello, and welcome to this conversation. It's a very fanboy Christmas. I have my old Revenger cohort, Mr. Brett Thomas Miro from the Revengers Podcast here with me. And Brett, how you doing today?
And I'm happy to be here. It's nice to be podcasting again. It's been a while.
Yeah.
We've seen each other, but we haven't gotten to really get into the geeky stuff.
I feel like on some level we've been saving an opportunity like this to go really full geek on some things.
Yes.
So now we get to do that.
I'm excited.
And I feel like we should acknowledge Vanessa. We miss you. We love you. We wish you were here.
Our Banana.
But Vanana, you're having all these wonderful adventures with the Fanboy Garage over with Chris Lisanti and Mr. Aaron Varola.
What up?
So Vanana, we'll be able to put together some sort of reunion, I hope, in 2021. Yeah. But for now, we've got us, and you know what else we've got? We got a lot of wine because since it is Christmas, I have to make some coquito. You can't be even a little bit Puerto Rican and not have coquito for Christmas. And I'm 50% Puerto Rican, so that really puts a lot of pressure on me. So that means, for those of you who are unaware, I need empty wine bottles. I need places to put the coquito into. So Brett is going to help me. He's already working on his first very heavy pour of Cabernet.
Yes.
And we're going to be trying to do our best to empty a bottle or two of Cabernet so that I can make coquito after we record this very wonderful episode. But all right, Brett. So 2020 has been a pretty trying year for, the world.
Yeah.
And everyone's needed different things to kind of get through it, to sort of cope, to sort of, feel some semblance of normalcy through all this chaos. And I often argue that while we love to go on Twitter and Reddit and Facebook and all this crap and bicker and argue about entertainment, the real purpose of it all is to take us away from our troubles.
Indeed, escapism.
So, yeah. So with 2020 being a year worth escaping, I guess I wanted to open with, are there any, what's a video game, a movie, or a TV show, or a combination thereof that really kind of helped you get through 2020?
Yeah, well, I should start out by saying that I'm pretty much a homebody, so I don't know if 2020 was as taxing on me as it was with a lot of other people, and I'm sorry if it did affect you very heavily. I know definitely I have people around me and close to me that are not dealing with it as great as they wish they could, I guess. But for me, I was like, oh, I get to be stuck inside and just do all my entertainment things. It's not that bad.
Not be bothered.
Yeah, it's not that horrible. So starting off, there's the wine.
There's the wine cap. Sorry.
So yeah, for me, probably one of the biggest things right at the beginning of the pandemic, which for us, I think the shutdowns really started in March. I think everyone will agree that Animal Crossing coming out for Nintendo Switch was an absolute lifesaver because it was oh, I can kind of live a normal life here, even though I cannot do anything else. And I'll be honest, I did fall off the Animal Crossing train, but I did play it religiously every day, probably from March until June.
Wow.
I did check my Switch. I clocked 240 hours in there.
Oh my! In that month?
Well, here's the thing. Well,
in that month or two?
No, it was 3 months. Here's the thing too. A lot of the times, I was working from home, and for those that don't know, I do liquor and wine sales, so it was mostly just on the phone. So I literally just keep the game on all day, make phone calls, then dig up a few fossils.
By the way, I'm not judging, by the way, because I've spent probably at least that much in GTA. But keep going.
Right. So doing the basic chores, digging up fossils, buying clothes, building, terraforming,
selling fruit,
all the cool stuff.
And things.
Selling fruit, planting trees, all that fun stuff that I couldn't do because of COVID. So that really saved me a lot. It's one of those games that I think it's just so full of joy. It's something that Nintendo, everything always really brings to all their games. So I definitely started off with that. I did fall off though because there is a level of tedium, and then other things came out. So definitely for video games, big shout out to Animal Crossing this year.
Can I piggyback on that for a sec before you move on to your next thing? Because I feel like open world games probably had a great year this year. I feel like in a year where most people were trapped at home, they probably chose video games that made them feel like they were out and about, like in an open world, just being able to move freely and do whatever they want because you couldn't do whatever you wanted in real life.
Replicate the real world experience as much as possible.
It's funny because you mentioned Animal Crossing, and for me, the big thing was, as I mentioned already, was GTA Online. Being able to I'm stuck at home, but here I can get in a car and drive around and do things.
Which I know we actually jumped on early. I know it kind of fell off, but like you, me, and then also
and Rob Moreta
and Jeremy hopped on here and there too. Yeah, and we were.
Well, Jeremy jumped in when we did Red Dead Redemption, which is another open world game. So to me, like the big things I did a lot of this summer in the video game realm were those open world things. That GTA, that Red Dead Online, that thing that makes me feel like I'm not trapped and confined in my four walls. No, I'm out and about in a huge open map, able to move freely and do whatever the hell I want.
And I'm not a multiplayer guy, really. I do the escapism, and I like to do single player.
Yeah,
and get lost. But this year, for me, I did the most multiplayer stuff I've ever done because it was a way to just stay in contact with friends and talk to you guys. And that was like a huge lifesaver, I think, for myself. And I'm sure a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to Kristen about that a lot, where it's like, I would be in such a good mood the next day after we stayed up until 2 a.m. doing missions on GTA or Red Dead or whatever, that I would explain to Chris, and I'm like, it felt like hanging out. It was the closest thing to hanging out was being on headset with you guys playing video games.
That was wonderful.
And so I guess I kind of want to open this up to you, anyone listening or watching this. Like, did anyone else find that open world games got like extra love from you in 2020 with everything going on? Because I don't know, it definitely did on my house, and it sounds like it did for you too. So is there a TV show or a movie that, or several, I'm sure, but what's a TV show or several that got you through 2020?
You know, it's funny. And like, when I try to think back, I watched probably a million things, and I'm like, I can't even think of anything right now. Everything in my head is like recent stuff. But I know for like this year, I definitely like. I had watched many episodes of The Office before, but like I never really like watched it like chronologically all the way through. So I've been like actually going back to a lot of older stuff that maybe I didn't really get to like completely engross myself in. So yeah, I've been watching though. I'm still making my way through that slowly because I've been back and forth. Office, of course, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit later. Mandalorian, which was more recent, but I mean that's been, you know, a huge boon to my life. Trying to think what else, anything major. I honestly, it's like weird. I can't even like think of anything right now.
I mean, I feel like a lot of us ventured into things just to pass the time. Like Tiger King was really huge.
Yes, I mean
at the start of the year.
How can I forget all the documentaries? Yeah, it was like Tiger King, especially that was something my fiance and I like absolutely loved. And, but it was a great year, I think, for that and like sharing what we've been watching with like friends and family. I usually do that anyway, but like I feel like this year more than ever, it's really been, you know, a way to just, you know, again, escape, have something to talk about. And I think entertainment and media has definitely benefited. I wouldn't say the movie industry so much, but for things that were completed, they're killing
it. But to be more clear too, it's one facet of the movie industry that got hit. But if you think about it, the industry through streaming, you know, the entertainment industry through streaming probably had its greatest year ever. And the paradigm that we've discussed that we used to discuss on the Revengers quite frequently, this move to streaming, this move to like everyone has 4 or 5 streamers, and what is their breaking point? How many streamers is enough when you cut the, you know, like we talked about this quite a bit. And 2020 was the year that basically forced the world to get into this whole streaming insanity. So listen, I'm sure there's lots of different things that you dabbled in that you didn't necessarily think you were gonna.
It's been overload. That's why I can't think of anything right now. It's like, you know, I feel like, you know, that's maybe also like to detriment of a lot of things is that like I have had so much stuff flowing in and out that like now I'm like, it's just a big blur. I mean,
yeah, it's true. Like at some point throughout the year, like our big thing was like we binged all of Schitt's Creek, and that was awesome. Have you checked that out?
We also watched that. Yes.
I mean, it was such like a pleasant.
It's got so much heart.
To have something that's so like positive and filled with heart and family and togetherness in the middle of all of what's going on. Schitt's Creek was like a great gift. So if you haven't checked out Schitt's Creek, you should. It's on Netflix. It became a phenomenon during its final season, which was very unique of it. You know what I mean? It had like 5 seasons where like its small niche audience loved it, and then it came to Netflix and the whole world fell in love with it just in time for it to end. Like it's such a unique,
very, very weird. But yeah, what a great show. I mean, it's one of those like, there's so many shows out there with like right now I'm watching a show that I missed way back when, Dexter.
Oh yes,
which is just a lot of murder and blood.
But it's coming back,
and
so
it is
we should
coming
talk
back,
about
which
that.
is why I'm also watching it. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But my fiance actually has been wanting me to watch it because she watched it way back when it actually aired, and then she's actually for years been talking about it, and we just never got around to it. Now, of course, was the perfect time.
Nice.
So, but like something like that, it's very engrossing, it's very engaging. You're looking at murder and blood every 5 seconds. So it was nice to just have like something like Schitt's Creek where it like really was like it was never mean. It wasn't.
I mean, it was mean, but it was lovingly. It was familial mean.
And yeah, that exactly familial mean. That's a good way to put it. So yeah, that was just like a really nice show to watch and unwind with, especially this year was stressful. I mean, the liquor industry actually did great.
And he works in the liquor industry, so who had it better than you?
Yeah, as long as you weren't a salesperson for restaurants, unfortunately, in New York, because that happened. I luckily work at like stores and retail stores, so they actually saw like a big spike this year. So and it was stressful. Like trying to sell over the phone is really hard. It's very easy for people to say no. So anyway, I won't talk about my job. But yeah, so that, I mean, like it's I've been in and out of everything. So much gaming.
But see, and what's crazy though about 2020 is that for the first year ever, because of a historic pandemic, the question like, what was your favorite movie this year, or what were your top 5 this year? I don't know. How does that work? Like, did you even like watch any movies this year? I feel like we all watch TV shows. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like I rarely sat down to watch a 2-hour movie. When I sat down to start something amidst all this chaos, it was what has like 3 or 4 seasons that's going to keep me busy for a while. So I didn't do a lot of movies. But is there a movie that you got to, or a few that you got to that were like, this was worth it this year?
No. I know, honestly, because you know what it is for me too. My fiance always falls to sleep very early, so sometimes movies are a big commitment to have to do a 2-3 hour thing.
They are.
So it ends up being shows because we could watch like 2 episodes, episodes, and just like stop, and you don't feel like you're like, oh man, because like I hate pausing movies. Like me personally, I hate having to pause. I want to have the through line.
That's true. I agree.
So and just like. There weren't a lot of movies this year, at least that I was like super interested.
Yeah, like there was a lot of like straight to streamer type stuff, but in terms
which
of
I'm
like
sure, like,
major,
I can't think of anything right now, so I guess nothing left like that big of an impression.
Yeah,
but I'm sure there was stuff I enjoyed. I don't know. I'll think of it later after the podcast, which is really helpful.
Well, one movie that's arriving today, Christmas Day, is Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes,
which I've been arguing these last 2 or 3 weeks is basically the movie of the year.
It is.
Without a doubt. So I guess I haven't asked you this through our hangouts these last few months. So what is your current hype level like to see Wonder Woman 84?
I'm actually very excited. At this point too, I think there's been some buzz and some reviews have come out. So the buzz is good. So that's always comforting. But yeah, even since they announced it, I've been like very excited for this movie because the original Wonder Woman was such a bright spot for the DC. What is it? EU? What is it? Do we know anymore?
I mean, I don't think there's
a DC on film.
For DC on, let's go for DC on film.
So yeah, that was such a bright spot, and I've been looking forward to this, and I think it's actually like really nice that they decided to do this. I know like there's obviously in the industry they're not happy about a lot of this stuff, but as far as Patty Jenkins is concerned, she's actually thrilled to do this, and she even I think came out and said that like I'm very excited to release this because I think people need it. They just need like a good film. So I plan to watch it today. That's gonna be like at least like 3 hours or probably something of my Christmas day. Whatever it is, 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because something that's happened since the last episode of the Fanboy that I had wanted to mention is that the ad campaign for this movie makes me very happy. I don't know if you had a chance to see any of the like over the air broadcast commercials for Wonder Woman 84, but the ones that emphasize the HBO Max release and the accessibility of it, they all kind of bring up how like the world needs this right now. We need hope. We need optimism. We need heroism. We need, the love and positivity that this movie is going to bring. And that's something that I talk about on the show a lot, where I feel like, I love it when a movie can be that zeitgeist thing, that thing that kind of like helps a culture with whatever's going on right now. And a lot of times lately in these last few years, it feels like all movies, no matter how amazing they are, they're one of many zeitgeisty things happening at the same time. But right now we're in a place where Wonder Woman 84 really is like the only thing occupying that
it gets to exist on its own.
Yeah.
Which is great for it, actually.
Yeah. So
great
like,
for DC.
Yeah. So like selling it like this thing that's going to bring joy to the world. Like it's something that the world needs. Like it might seem a little overblown, you know, for a movie. It's a superhero movie. There's been a million of them, whatever. But like, I feel it could be, you know, and I feel like what the world does need now is a story that sounds like the one that we're going to see. You know, I've been very limited on my like reviews and things and that I've been reading on the movie because I want to go into it fresh. Yeah. But most of what I've heard is that it's a positive, joyous, optimistic experience. And, you know, that's why I'm definitely making time to see it today too. We've got a bunch of family coming over. We've been talking about it for weeks. We actually rewatched the first one earlier on in December so that this would feel fresh. So yeah, this is a must see like today event movie, which 2020 can't really argue it. It's had many of those.
Yeah. And you actually, it's just talking about how joyous this movie seems to be, you just jogged my memory, and I remember something that I specifically wanted to bring up. Okay. Again, I'm not going to remember everything, but one of the things actually that was a real joy this year.
It's okay, man. It's the okay, man. Hey, why don't we make a toast, man?
It's the wine.
It's the wine.
So I should sip, right? It's illegal, I think.
But yeah, I think you have to give eye contact.
So actually, if you have Disney Plus, kind of under the radar because I don't think I saw like any advertisement for it, but there's a new Muppet show.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned this freaking Muppet show to me.
I am a diehard Muppets fan. Like I love the Muppets. I loved them as a child, and like they still make me feel good. It really is. It's like such a feel good thing. So
hi, Pop.
And I was actually a huge fan a few years ago. ABC had brought a new Muppet show to network television, which was basically The Office with Muppets, which I thought was such a great conceit. And unfortunately, no one else did, so it got canceled to one season. But it's good. You can find it out there. Look for it. I think it's on Disney Plus. But anyway, they have a new Muppet show. It's very short. I think it's only like 15 minutes.
What?
Yeah.
Like every episode's 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's a short thing.
I could actually watch that. Me and my ADD could actually watch that.
You could do it, and and it's funny you say ADD because it is totally for the YouTube generation. The YouTube generation. The whole actual premise is that Scooter is kind of like the manager, and he's basically trying to get the show up every week, and it's, you know, Miss Piggy, Kermit, all of them doing their own little like YouTube like little videos and clips and little shows, and it's like the whole premise is that like he's trying to put the show together and edit it and like get everything uploaded. So like, and then everyone is like, you know, freaking out and going, "You didn't edit this, you didn't do that." So it's like this whole big thing. It's very fun. It's very, you know, timely.
Yeah,
but it's great. It's again like Schitt's
it's what
Creek.
The world needs now.
It's just like Schitt's Creek. It just feels good. It's never mean. It's funny. They have so many great celebrity guests on it too.
I mean, Muppets was always pretty damn good about that.
Yeah, but I mean, like oh my god, it is excellent. It is like Danny Trejo does a cooking show with Swedish Chef. Do I need to say more? It is like the
Danny Trejo on
He's
the
on
Muppets,
it, and he makes like a chicken mole, and it looks really good. Like it's like legit cooking show. Like, and the Swedish Chef's there, he's my favorite. So
that's amazing.
So anyway, it's called Muppets Now. So if you have not checked that out, it's like
Muppets Ahora,
and it's got a lot of stuff for. It's got a lot of stuff for adults on it, too. So it's not just purely for kids. Mm-hmm. You definitely, as an adult, I was like, I had tears of joy in my eye every episode.
Dude.
But again, I love the Muppets.
Yeah.
Like, probably in an unhealthy way.
No, but listen, it can't be overstated.
They make my soul sing. They really do. Like, they really bring me so much joy. Like, I don't know how you could watch that and like just not enjoy it in even like an iota. Like it's very, very good and heartwarming. So please check out Muppets Now because I want them to make more.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. It makes your heart sing. It's positive.
That's you know what? That's my show of 2020.
The
Muppets Now.
Muppets Now in 2020
on
is Brett Thomas Miro's show of 2020.
Feel good show of 2020.
Feel good.
Make it happen.
You want to feel good? Watch Muppets Now.
And maybe have some wine too.
I mean, listen, a little bit of vino never hurt anybody. But we were just talking about Wonder Woman 84, and I had to ask you, you know, Patty Jenkins is about to head to another universe. You know, the DC universe is very important to us. You know, I'm a Superman guy. You're a Batman guy. But Patty is now about to go to that galaxy far, far away.
I'm so excited.
Now, I had my chance on episode 120 to sort of gush about what that means to me, but I'm just curious. Like, now, you have a feeling about this filmmaker. You hear that she's coming to Star Wars. She's doing Rogue Squadron. What do you think? What's your first response?
I have some of my favorite parts of Star Wars is obviously the space battles. Of course, there's like the human element and all that stuff, but the space battles, the X-wings, the TIE fighters, I love that stuff. And one of the bright spots I think of the new trilogy, I thought they had some like really cool space battles and scenes. I kept wanting more, and now you're telling me you're giving me an entire movie of that.
Yeah.
And the cool little teaser that she did, I didn't know that she grew up with her around
her
Air
father
Force,
was a fighter
and her
pilot.
Father was a fighter pilot. So that is like for me like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
It is super cool. And I'm going to have a video game angle. This year, EA, who has the Star Wars license, did release a video game called Star Wars Squadrons.
I know, but is that a true sequel to the Nintendo Rogue Squadrons Factor 5 games?
Spiritual successor. There's no like on foot stuff.
Okay.
It's purely a flight sim.
Which it should be. When they went to on foot, that pissed me off.
Yeah, because it didn't control well.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a pure flight sim. But when I say sim, I mean, and you can adjust like how simulatory. Is that a word? How much of a
Hashtag simulatory.
How much simulation it is, but it is like very involved. Like,
yeah?
You have to control your throttle. I mean, the rolling, how you roll the ship, barrel roll. You have to control where you send your actual energy or power for the ship to shield the engines.
Like they do in the movies. They talk about like send all energy to the defense.
Yeah, they're like, put
it
to the shield, front shields, back shields. You literally can do that. It's awesome. It feels really good.
What system is that on?
It's on Xbox and PlayStation and on PC.
You should have a podcast about video games. If only somebody had a thought. Anyway, sorry.
I haven't been able to talk about this stuff, so I'm going to talk about it with him. So
let's make him reignite the Play It Loudcast. I'm putting you on the spot.
We might. I've been really considering it. So,
Poppy.
All right. So the game's phenomenal. It looks great. It plays great. It was only $40. They released it as like a budget title.
I like $40.
And it's on sale. Well, it was at least for like $24. So I picked it up like in the last week.
Thanks for letting us know that it was once on sale.
It may still be on sale. I don't know. Check now. They had like end of year sales, and I'm sure they'll be going through Christmas into New Year's. Yeah. So but
it's funny you connected this news to that, because I had the same thing when they announced Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron. I thought about the video games.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved those games.
I think I just bought the game like literally like a day before they made the announcement, because I literally just got it like maybe a week ago or something like that. So yeah, it got me even more excited, because that game is really cool, and it's first person only. There's no third person.
Yeah.
You literally have to use like the ship controls and the readouts.
Oh, wow.
So it's like you really need to rely on that stuff.
I need to play that.
It's very cool. And apparently there's multiplayer dogfights too, but I don't think I'm that good yet. So,
but the thing that gets me most excited is that this isn't Michael Bay making Rogue Squadron.
No.
This is Patty Jenkins. And what makes Patty Jenkins a unique filmmaker, at least from what I've seen so far from Wonder Woman and from the trailer for Wonder Woman 84, is that she's a filmmaker that seems to understand that character and heart and story are very important.
The human element.
Yeah, the human element. You could have all kinds of bells and whistles and explosions and beautiful CG and all this other stuff. If the heart isn't there, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So to have her bring that sensibility to a story that it sounds like is going to be somewhat personal to her, because her father was a fighter pilot. So it feels like, that makes it extra special. The fact that she's going to bring that character-driven element, that sense of heart, that sense of personality, that human spark. Yes. Which to me, like without that, it's not really Star Wars. It might look like it. You can get X-Wings and explosions and throw in a Death Star, whatever. It's not going to feel like Star Wars if I don't give a damn about the people involved. Correct. Star Wars, Lucas always made sure that the characters are people you could root for and all that sort of stuff. I feel like Patty Jenkins gets that.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, because are you now?
I want to do a little speculation, or at least something that I hope, because obviously I don't think there's a script or a story or anything yet with this. But one thing that I want to see, and I think a lot of people do, a big fan favorite character.
Show everyone your shirt while you talk about.
Oh yeah, so I'm wearing. I don't want to knock anything over.
Ooh. Star Wars,
swag, buddy. Yep, there we go. The OG trilogy.
And I'm wearing the S from your favorite Superman movie.
Oh, you like Superman?
This is the Superman Returns S. Your
Is it?
favorite?
It looks like the Man of Steel one.
No, it's the SRS. It's your favorite. It's his favorite. No, it's not. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
You killed me.
So
I'm dead now. So a fan favorite character from the new trilogy is Poe Dameron.
Yes.
And in my opinion,
he was
not
underutilized,
not enough of him. And clearly he had a career leading up until he got be right under command under Princess Leia.
Are you about
to
suggest that Patty Jenkins does an Oscar Isaac starring Rogue Squadron movie?
I want it. I want his black and orange X-wing in there, and I want him
think of that
right before the new trilogy starts. Maybe see how he worked his way up to becoming the right-hand man of General Leia. And people love Oscar Isaac. It's a great draw. I think people like that character.
And he didn't get to show off what he can do. This is Oscar freaking Isaac.
Yeah, and the coolest thing he had, honestly, was that I don't even remember which movie it was in, but it was that one scene where him and an X-wing squadron were on that one planet, really low over the water. Which I love that whole shot.
That was in the first one.
That was in the first one, Force Awakens. That probably had some of the best X-wing stuff.
That's when he comes to rescue Finn and Han and Rey on that planet with what's her face, the lady who looks like E.T.
Oh, E.T. lady.
You know the one with the goggles.
Lupita.
Lupita.
That's an inside joke from the Revengers.
We can never talk about that one. But yeah, so that's from The Force Awakens. You just blew my mind. I didn't even think about that because
I was thinking, when are they going to set it? We could do an in between one of the original trilogies.
But you could do prequels, with the Naboo fighters and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be X fighters.
They had a lot more variety there with the A wings, the B wings, the Y wings, the X wings.
I guess a part of me assumes that it's going to involve characters we've never seen before. Mm-hmm. But now that you've mentioned using Poe and getting more time with Oscar Isaac in Star Wars, you've just melted my brain.
Because also, one of the things in Rise of Skywalker, they had Poe had that little character development where they went on. They went on that one planet, and then they ran into Kerry Russell. I forgot her name. She had a cool outfit.
Show us more about that. Yeah.
And then apparently he used to be a spice runner. I mean,
that's true.
Maybe we get him as a spice runner, and then he gets caught by the Republic or the New Republic, and then they convert him into an X-wing, an X-wing pilot or something. I don't know.
Brett, I'm just mad now.
I'm just here.
I'm just mad now because I didn't think of any of this.
Yeah, I thought of it right away. I was I want Poe Dameron. I love Oscar Isaac. I want him in everything. So
we should podcast about movies. If only anyone had an idea to do something like that.
Who knows?
But yeah, okay. If we what excites me about this is it's implied heavily that Poe Dameron is an amazing pilot. Mm-hmm. And when we do catch quick glimpses, which are just quick glimpses, really, it's shown that he's amazing. But again, it's primarily implied and spoken of, aside from these, these quick glimpses in Force Awakens and in The Rise of Skywalker. To get a movie where we actually get to see that, yeah, that's that. I mean, I was just talking about that on 120 about how and this is jumping ahead now, but in Mandalorian season finale,
I was literally just about to bring this up.
got to see Luke finally be as cool as we really thought him to be.
In Rogue One, we got to really see the threat that Vader is.
And in episode 5 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, we got to see Boba Fett be all that he can be.
Give me Poe. Give me the real Poe Dameron.
These new projects...
Why did Leia trust him so much?
Yeah.
Why did she have him as her right-hand man?
Let's see Poe in all of his glory.
I think it with that too, I think it just helps... It helps the project, I think, too. I think everyone...
I think your wine glass has too much wine and not enough at the same time.
Sorry. I think you're crazy if you're not excited for Rogue Squadron, no matter what it is going to be, honestly, because it's going to be space dogfights. That's amazing. But, I mean, just to, really kind of keep it to, some of the new stuff we've gotten, or received. Gotten's not a word, is it? I think Poe was the way to go because it brings a familiarity. Especially for some of the new Star Wars fans, and I think people that have been Star Wars fans their whole life just want to see X-Wings fight in the space, so that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, and not to mention, too, I almost wonder if, because a part of me feels like it's just going to be that's just a test title. It's a code name.
Right.
I imagine it might have a name that is more revealing, but then again, maybe it is Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
If they stick with Rogue Squadron, I wonder if it's going to feel, in a way, like it's part of Rogue One. because there was Rogue One, now there's
Right.
Rogue Squadron. So it's like it might give the impression that they're planning on making movies about these different rogue groupings.
Yeah.
So there was a movie about Rogue One, the very first rogue mission. They stole the Death Star and
Right.
it led to everything. The Rogue Squadron could be about how like Rogue Squadron became to be a thing, possibly.
They could do so
Yeah, I
many
mean,
things
there's a
with it.
million things they could do, but it's an interesting idea. And I just wonder if audiences are going to be a little bit like, oh, is Rogue Squadron a sequel to Rogue One? I don't know.
Yeah.
But, but if it's Oscar Isaac, I think I'm very sold on
Yeah,
it.
I mean, who you gonna? That's a perfect way to anchor
And
the
you
film.
get
with a
Kerry
big star.
Russell in there.
Maybe we get Kerry Russell in her cool. She had a cool suit. That was the best part of Rise of Skywalker.
Her like really deep, mysterious voice.
Yeah.
And her a lot of eyeliner. Yeah, she was great. But drink some more wine while I set us
keep
up
going,
on
keep
the
going.
next
I'll
topic.
I'll just gurgle this.
So, yeah, because you got to catch up. I'm on like glass number 3.
Nightmare.
You've been talking and not really drinking much. So I'm going to take a very long time in this segue so that Brett can catch up to me. But on episode 120, I got to talk about The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. The finale that gave us Luke Skywalker's return to the Star Wars realm.
Yep.
We got to get a finale that shows Luke is now going to take Grogu on as a Padawan.
Mm-hmm.
Although we kind of know that must not end right, because by the time we get to episode 8, he's the last Jedi. So that's something we should probably touch on too. I mean, there's a lot of things about this finale that we need to discuss. So I guess first things first, how are you feeling coming out of season 2 of The Mandalorian? Are you feeling like they stuck the landing on season 2 and it expanded on season 1 and made you more excited? Or was there anything about this that held it back for you? I don't know.
No,
how are you feeling?
I am over the moon. Really, that was a tremendous. I mean, season 2 was just excellent. It's something to be said. I love short, concise seasons of shows.
Yeah.
The 6 to 8 episodes is the sweet spot. I know people are always like, I want more, but I mean, whenever you have these seasons that are 12, 13 episodes, there's at least 3 episodes that are total filler and usually are not. It's like the B Squad, right?
Well, I feel like the Marvel Netflix series all suffered from that, right?
I think almost, honestly, it's hard for me to like name a show that I think doesn't have like at least 2 or 3 episodes of dead space, that and if it's a season that's like over 10 episodes. So I think the 8, and the fact that The Mandalorian also, like, they don't stick to like, it's an hour or 45 minutes. Like, the episodes are all, some of them are a half hour, some are 40 minutes.
It's true.
They just tell the amount of story they need to tell, and that way it never gets, I don't think it ever really like gets pulled down. So anyway, it's
no, it's good.
But yeah, no, the finale was tremendous. Getting it, like, when that X-Wing showed up, I was like,
wait, did you know right away?
oh, as soon as I saw the X-Wing, like, my heart stopped.
Really?
I was on
because we've seen X-Wings throughout the season. There have been a couple times we've seen an
but it was
X-Wing.
one X-Wing.
It was a singular X-Wing.
And,
okay.
and I was able to like put together. I knew that like obviously Grogu was on the little seeing stone or whatever it's called. And
also he spoke to a Jedi.
he spoke to Jedi, and then like as soon as the X-Wing showed up, I was like, okay.
You knew.
I knew.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And then as soon as like the all black cloak, I was like, okay. And then
for
of course,
me,
the
it
green
was the
lightsaber.
all black Coke.
Okay.
The all black, like the X-Wing didn't give it away because we had seen a few X-Wings throughout the season. So you might think, oh, somebody showed up to help. I mean, listen, I knew this must be somebody special.
Well, also Cara Dune wasn't expecting it, and she's a part of the New Republic now. When she said, "Oh, they sent one X-wing," great. I was like, okay, so she's not even aware about this.
I didn't even think of that.
So she had no connection to like. She
Yeah,
didn't call anybody
that should have alerted me that it's not.
But
part
it's almost
of
like
the main.
I can see that. Like, I almost wanted to like block it out because I just wanted to wait for like the real moment. And I think like if you didn't pick up on it, obviously the green lightsaber should have.
That's what did it
chills
for
down
me.
your spine.
Yeah.
And then you just saw him. I mean, it was basically like you said it already. It was the Rogue One Vader moment, but with Luke. It might have been even cooler.
I mean,
and I have a side tangent on that, but let's finish with this. It's just for all the people that hated The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker. I have something to say about that. But anyway, we'll go back. So yeah, it was tremendous. It ended, and in a way, I was kind of disappointed that I guess maybe this is who knows, but maybe it's the end of seeing Grogu for a little bit.
yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, were they really going to do another season of him trying to get him somewhere?
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of, in a way, it's good. And I just started watching the Clone Wars, which is the animated series that has a lot of, you know, pretty high critical reception. And discovering, watching the first season of The Mandalorian, that there seemed to be a lot of lore from that animated series that I missed. So, especially this season with Ahsoka and, you know...
I'm in the same boat, by the way. I didn't watch Clone Wars, so
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that gave people complete goosebumps and freakouts went over my head.
Well,
you know?
Clone Wars apparently gives, like, some Boba Fett backstory throughout the seasons.
I need to watch that.
Bo-Katan is also from the Clone Wars, and there's a lot of talk of Mandalore this season, Mandalore the Great, the Darksaber, Moff Gideon. That's all from Clone Wars.
Yeah, see, like, I didn't know that whole bit. I mean, they explained it, thankfully.
Yeah.
But apparently Bo-Katan was in custody of the Darksaber.
She was the rightful owner.
And Moff Gideon ended up with it. So
he beat her in combat or something. Yeah,
yeah, like, are we going to see that too? Like, that's another thing too. Yeah. Like, how much of this are we going to... You know, they keep expanding on the mythology. Yeah. Are we going to see that too? I mean, that'd be amazing.
I forgot if you see... I mean, I didn't watch it all yet. Obviously, I'm very early on in Clone Wars. There's like 130 episodes or something. I watched like 5. So, Bo-Katan, though... she was like, basically, if you have the Darksaber, you're like the rightful ruler of Mandalore, which is the planet the Mandalorians are from. Everyone always thinks it's like destroyed or like the Empire did something to it, but apparently it's still around. So they already set up season 3, if you were paying close attention, because Din Djarin is
now the king of Mandalore.
Well, that, and also the fact that he did promise Bo-Katan that he would help her take back Mandalore if she helped him with like you know, Grogu and getting Grogu back. And so that's basically your season 3. So I mean, like, I think at this point you have to watch the Clone Wars if you haven't watched it yet, because especially it's Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni did all the Clone Wars. He's heavily involved in this in the Mandalorian. So you gotta join that.
So there's a few splinter questions from this that I want to ask you. So first of all, with season 3 now kind of coming into focus, because you're right. At first, it could seem like, wait a minute, these first 2 seasons have been all about Grogu and bringing this baby Yoda to safety. Now, without Grogu front and center, the show might lose its focus. But then again, there's this thing now where technically our star accidentally, because I like this was part of his quest,
right? And
it feels like, oh, no, this is the natural earned next chapter of this story. We found out that he stumbled upon becoming the king of Mandalore.
Yeah.
So, you know,
the responsibility of that.
Yes, like with season 3, like, do we, you know, it's just an interesting thought to suddenly now, like, we're going to shift the focus. And I guess I have a couple questions for you here. Does that excite you, or do you wish it stayed more with that bounty hunter conceit of like a different mission and checking out a different sort of corner of the Star Wars universe? You know what I mean? Because this feels now like, if we're going to really tackle this, where he's the king of Mandalore, that's really going to be the main story of season 3. And that's really going to be the primary thing he has to figure out how to deal with. Yeah. Do we like that for this character? Or were we hoping it would be more like, oh, what's his next mission? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the bounty hunter conceit. Luckily, we did get a teaser at the end of of the Book of Boba Fett, which I'm hoping that will maybe become the bounty hunter kind of show. Maybe continue kind of the Western style that we got in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian now has a chance to sort of become maybe almost like this like Ronin, like samurai kind of thing, like going back to claim the throne and bring his people back to their home planet. And wow, what a way to develop this character. So I'm excited for that possibility of like really getting deeper and deeper into Din Djarin. I mean, obviously he wasn't born on Mandalore. He was kind of like adopted, and you know, being a Mandalorian does not mean you're from the planet. Because actually, I think if you go back to Jango Fett is not actually born on Mandalore either. Yeah. So I think I'm excited about the character possibilities of like kind of like this you know, maybe reluctant king. Yeah, that has to kind of like take back, you know, his home planet and bring his people back together. So that's exciting. Yeah. And then I think Boba Fett could kind of take on the bounty hunter side of it. So I think there's a lot of great storytelling possibilities. But yeah, I mean, of course, the bounty hunter thing's awesome. I mean, like,
it
like
really
the first like 2 or 3. I mean, season
really
1, the first 2 or 3 episodes before like really he was with Grogu were some of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Even in this season, they found a way to like have it was almost like procedural, where he gets to a planet and has to help a person solve a thing. So when we're fighting an ice spider, we're fighting a sand shark, so I guess as long as it still somehow keeps that element of like Din out on assignment dealing with a crazy mission every episode, because I don't know, to me it sounds tricky. And listen, I'm not the one in the writing room. I'm not the one.
Not the one.
Figure. I know you probably thought Mario's writing The Mandalorian. Believe it or not, I'm not. But when I think about where we go from here, like, a part of me feels like this gets very sort of esoteric in a way. Hear me out. Because when he meets Bo-Katan, they basically liken to being a Mandalorian to being like a religious person.
Like a religious zealot almost.
Yeah.
Like culty.
And,
you want to take off your helmet.
Yeah, and they were saying like basically you're part of like the more extreme version of the religion, and we're part of the more cool part of the religion. We take our helmets off and we have different rules.
We're Mandalorian light.
Yeah.
Like we're diet Mandalorian.
So I'm like wondering too, like if we're gonna tackle being the king of Mandalore, I feel like one of the main topics would have to be figuring out, how does a guy who apparently belongs to the most extreme sect of Mandalorianness suddenly become the king of all of Mandalore? You know what I mean? So I guess it definitely opens up some interesting storytelling challenges, but they don't sound all that sexy to me. You know what I mean? It sounds a little bit like this gets a little like philosophical.
It might get too heavy.
And like a dissection of religious extremism. Like, I guess I'm just like, I
don't know if they'll.
They probably won't.
It's in good hands. I don't think they'll go down that route, but I'm interested to see it a little bit because I think some of the most fun stuff about Star Wars. And, we'll get into this even more. I'd love to like talk about maybe later the future of Star Wars and a lot of the announcements that just happened and kind of how that could work. I love seeing like these like, the lore, the backstory, the little tidbits of this universe that we've never got to hear and see before. And like, that's interesting to me. So,
but there's a fine line.
There is.
Because you were with me on the fact that Solo, a Star Wars story, didn't really need to get made.
No, but I love that movie. But
we both ended up loving it. And we have that great commentary, which now that there isn't a Patreon, I'm just going to release free of charge.
Oh, that's totally
right.
We did that.
We're going to release the Patreon. We have a commentary track for Solo Star Wars Story. But even though we talked all kinds of smack about that damn movie, it ended up being great, right? But the point is this. You and I agree that like not every little stone needs to be unturned. Sometimes it's okay to not over-explain everything. Like I didn't necessarily need to know how Han won the Millennium Falcon. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't necessarily need to know how he met Chewie. Their relationship in the original trilogy gave me everything I needed just based on that. Even and with him and Solo, that whole sort of him and Lando.
Yes.
That whole like uneven, I don't know if I can trust you dynamic, like Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams and the script for Empire Strikes Back pretty much nailed that. I didn't need any additional background on that. So I guess my question is like, not a question, but like it is a fine line between over explaining something and just simply shedding some light on something that like, I always kind of wondered how that happened.
Right. Well, I think you make a good point, but the thing that I think is different is that Din Djarin is a new character. He doesn't have that, history or like, I don't know what the word I want is that like, Han Solo had and all that stuff. He is a new character. And like I said, and again, I've watched like 5 episodes into the Clone Wars, but I think that this season 3 is going to close off or continue storylines from the Clone Wars. So there is it's different that there is a precedent for some of the stuff that I think is about to come to pass.
Yeah.
This is a lot of wine.
Yeah, but you're not drinking it.
I am. I'm about to. So that's the difference is that like, I think they have a little more flexibility and he's not as necessarily sacred as someone like Han or Orlando. So I think they have that benefit. Well, and again, like I said, it's continuing a story that's been set up and established. Because I think the siege of Mandalore is like a huge part of the Clone Wars.
And has that been? I guess you wouldn't know.
I don't
has
know.
Has that been very expanded upon, or has that been explored?
I think the planet was like destroyed, or like I don't think it was. It wasn't destroyed. Obviously, they're gonna go back. I think the Empire did something to it, like they like terraformed it and like made it like inhabitable or something like that. So it's still around. I don't think they blew it up like Alderaan.
Yeah.
So there's that. So again, I'm speaking. I'm sure someone watching this probably knows way more than me. So let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Hey, but okay. So let me ask you though, because when it comes to the Star Wars stuff and the idea of like over explaining things, a lot of stuff was announced last week, and there's going to be Kenobi. And which is going to finally sort of flesh in, where Obi-Wan was between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. But there's also stuff that's like completely new. Stuff like this one, like The Acolyte or The Rangers of the High Republic. There's a bunch of shows that were announced that like have nothing seemingly to do with anything. So I guess I'm just curious, like, in terms of things that are coming, are you more interested in things that are connected to things you know already? Or you are more excited about things that are like completely just, I don't know anything about this, but it's set in Star Wars and I want to see somebody new create something new in Star Wars?
I am so glad you asked this question. This is like, I've been begging Mary to come on the show to talk about this. So with all the announcement we just had, let's address that first. I think this is a really great idea to continue the known Star Wars universe in these little series. The Andor, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, oh my god, what else? Ahsoka, we should talk about
There's
that.
The Knights of
we should talk about that
Republic.
episode, the Ahsoka episode, because I'm like Stealth Jedi was the coolest thing ever.
There's a droid show about all the droids.
Yeah, that one I could give or take.
Yeah,
I could leave.
There's the Book of Boba Fett itself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about the other ones that were announced, but I mean, a lot was announced.
But in general, like, I think that's a great way. Like, I kind of don't want to see any more films that connect to the known Star Wars universe anymore.
Okay.
I really don't. I think the series is a great way, to bring on, new people or like, fans like us that are like older, that grew up with it, to continue like that world we know and love. Now also there's a new book series. Again, I think there's like, I don't even know if the book's out yet, but I don't know. They announced that they're doing like this new, it's like a prequel to all the prequels. I think it's even before like the famed Knights of the Old Republic storylines from BioWare. It's called The High Republic. Star Wars The High Republic. Well, you mentioned it.
Yeah, the Rangers of the High Republic.
Okay, so there's also the book series is starting this off. And if you've... And I have a lot to say about this.
See, I don't know stuff.
So I read... Again, I don't think it's out yet. Or
I don't read good.
Yeah, we don't read well. Well, exactly. Well.
Hey!
All right, so this takes place like way before anything that we've seen. So like they basically have like carte blanche to do whatever they want.
Excellent use of carte blanche.
Thank you. They this guy, let me tell you. So they if you've seen some of the artwork, they've released stuff.
Yeah.
It's seem to be at this point there are a lot of Jedi. Jedi seem to be like very around. They're available. They're in what do you call it? They're very, what's the word?
They're in high supply.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. They're in high supply, and the High Republic.
Get your Jedi. They're available everywhere.
There's a lot of Jedi. So we're not at the point where like there's no Jedi left and killed. They're apparently like they're pretty big in the galaxy. And if you've seen some of the artwork,
I'm just picturing Ron Burgundy.
Yeah,
picturing Jedi. I'm a pretty big deal.
I'm a pretty big Jedi man.
I'm picturing Will Ferrell in Jedi robes.
Yes.
Saying, I'm a pretty big deal.
Yes. Well, I want to say that the illustrations that have come out so far, these Jedi are dressed very ornate. It's very Arthurian, Game of Thrones, Knights of the Round Table, like white and gold.
Well, that's what. Yeah.
Very fancy clothes. The lightsabers. I don't know. Some purists might get angry, but the lightsabers are very ornate. They have hilts, not unlike Kylo Ren's, but they look a little nicer. They're like. They don't look like they were handmade. They look like they were
this.
like maybe made by Apple.
Yeah.
So they had like a big company pumping out the lightsabers. So it seems really cool, and it like I said, it has a Game of Thrones vibe, which makes me think when the Game of Thrones guys were doing Star Wars,
Benioff and
I
Vice.
wonder if they had something to do with that, because I can't help but like go, oh, this is very medieval kind of looking. So anyway, that's kind of this new thing that's happening, and I'm wondering when Rian Johnson, I think he's still working on this new trilogy, or when they do decide, I don't even know what's happening.
I don't know. I think that disappeared, bro.
You might be right.
I don't think Rian Johnson
but I would imagine
alive anymore.
Yeah, he might be gone. But I imagine when they you see you do this and you just kill my train of thought. I imagine that when they were possibly, and hopefully they're still thinking of a future for Star Wars, they were maybe going to go in that direction and say, hey, let's just go back like, a really, really, really long time ago, even before all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then kind of have this like new, take on everything. But now that we have this book series, I imagine they're going to, like you said, they're probably doing some show based off of it, because they're going to probably want to tie it into the books. Of course.
Yeah.
Not. Synergy, guys. Synergy.
Hey, synergy.
But what I'm hoping, I think, for the future, if like a new film series, and I want to ask you too, and everyone listening, I kind of want something completely new. I don't want to see the old retro future look, the big buttons, the same planets, maybe not even the same ships. I know this might be blasphemy, but we're getting that in the series. The Star Wars you know and love and maybe want to still explore is going to exist in some form. I think that the smart play, and what I want to see is like, what is the soul of Star Wars? Maybe it's just a long time ago in another galaxy far, far away, which I mean, like, they kind of have to do that line exactly as I said it. And also, I think like they keep things like that and the opening crawl, but I think we get, I'm going to say it, I think we get rid of the John Williams score. I think we do. I want all new. I want a new composer. I want a new creative team. Maybe Jon Favreau and David Filoni, because they know what's going on. I want something brand new, something different. No, I don't want it to be dark like Blade Runner. I don't want it to be like some cyberpunk, steampunk thing. And Star Wars is a little steampunk, I think, as it is. Very kind of like old. There's like a lot of like, poorish kind of looking planets and stuff. And then like only like the Galactic Empire and the Republic had like actual tech. I want something completely new and different, because I'm getting the Star Wars I love still. They announced 40 series. I mean, we're going to be covered. You have to figure at least 2 or 3 seasons out of all of them. We are good for like the next like 20 years. I think Star Wars has to evolve and become something new and different, not connected to anything that we've seen before.
Well, before I answer you about that,
I just gave you a lot.
I have an answer about that for sure.
Okay.
But before I get to it, I have to ask you, like, did any of that feeling dampen your excitement for what happened in that finale? Because let me tell you what happened with me.
Okay.
I've been loving The Mandalorian as something that feels like new, a little familiar because of the Baby Yoda thing, but primarily kind of something that feels like, oh wow, Favreau and Filoni are exploring something that we haven't really seen in live action before. And so when the Skywalker thing happened, believe it or not, even through all of my excitement, there was a small percentage of me that was like, oh, so this is also connected to the Skywalker saga. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, part of what excited me about The Mandalorian was like getting to see a new creator to this world. Yeah. And it's a creator I love. I love Favreau. I love Filoni. Getting to see, I mean, I don't know Filoni from Clone Wars, but from what I've seen, from what he's done in Mandalorian, I freaking love Filoni. Yeah. But, I have appreciation for what they're bringing to things. And primarily what I was excited about was we're venturing into uncharted territory. And yes, okay, the Baby Yoda thing feels a little familiar, but this is still primarily a corner of the Star Wars galaxy that I've never really gotten to see before. So having all of these last 2 seasons build to a Luke Skywalker thing feels almost like, so was all of this stuff just to build up to another nostalgic high point, which again, it was a high point.
It worked.
I got to see Luke be freaking Luke, and it was amazing. But there's still that part of me that was like, well, the part of me that liked that this was unexplored new territory is now having to confront that this is directly linked to the Skywalker saga and what happened with Luke.
Right.
So I guess, I want to just counter your question before I answer. Did you feel any of that, or did it not really factor in at all? This idea of, well, here's a bunch of nostalgia all of a sudden.
No, I mean, I definitely had a hint of that as well. I was like, okay, it's still, you're still not really getting away from everything. And, just to add on to that, and I kind of said it before too, but I think in season 3, and I'll know more when I finish the Clone Wars, but for people that do watch the Clone Wars, I think that season 3 is not, I mean, it will be new, but it's going to very much tie into something, the Clone Wars, which we've had already. So I think this, as much as new as these first 2 seasons were, and they bring it back, I still think we're kind of going into charted territory with like little what do you call it? The things when you go out of something.
Yeah. The branching path thing.
Words?
We don't know words.
I don't know words.
Listen, I blame this $5 bottle of Frontera Cabernet
wine. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
It's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
A Cabernet Sauvignon.
For why we might have lost our train of thought just now. But I can bring it back.
Excursions.
I'm that good.
I meant excursion. I want
these
like
excursions, these tangents.
There's little tangents and excursions outside of it, but I think at the end of the day, they're still connecting to something that was there already. So again, and that just leads back into what I was saying is
and again, my question becomes, with the Mandalorian, like, did it bum you out at all that it suddenly became very attached at the hip to the Skywalker saga again? Here we are once again with here's Luke, and this entire thing has been building to getting Baby Yoda to Luke. Like, we've kind of seen Luke and Yoda already. Yeah. But I mean, listen, if it didn't bug you, I wasn't
bummed, but I definitely had a tinge of like, okay, it's not really charting its own path as much as I thought it would.
Yeah.
But again, I wasn't bummed. Like, I definitely was like, okay, like, but at the same time, I was just so thrilled.
Because to answer your question, I'm dying for a Star Wars movie that has nothing to do with anything we've seen already. Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This High Republic thing too. I mean, it's nothing to do with anything we've seen already, but it's still Jedi. It's still lightsabers. Can Star Wars exist without X-Wings, lightsabers, that score? Can it be something completely different where it doesn't have any of the elements, but is somehow in its soul still Star Wars?
And I think it could be.
I want that.
Yeah, that's what I want too. Like,
I want something new. I love the nostalgia. We live in the age of nostalgia of the 80s and 90s
I'm
at this
with
point.
You.
I mean,
but
and I love it, and I kind of still want it. But again, I'm getting it. They announced 40 series. 40 Star Wars series.
They announced 40 series last week.
I don't know why I'm using 40 in particular, but yeah, I think there was 40. So, pretty sure it was 40. So
it was probably 40.
I don't, good. Like I'm excited and I'm getting my fix there. Like, I need new things, I think, in my life.
Well, that's the thing. So to answer your question, like, before I now
even Zelda had to change.
So listen to me. To answer your question, yes, I'm dying for a movie. Like, in my heart of hearts, I would love it if someone with the skill of a Rian Johnson, which is a lot coming from me because I had my issues with Episode 8. I know that you and Vanessa were big on The Last Jedi. I remember that episode because I was the odd man out who had some concerns about it. So I would love to get somebody like a Rian Johnson to give us an Episode 1. Yeah. I want an Episode 1 from someone like that. Because my issue with what Rian Johnson did was that I loved 95% of what he was going for, but it felt like a weird thing to suddenly stick into Episode 8 of a 9-episode story.
Right.
It felt like he was trying too hard to make Star Wars something new and different. When, well, yeah, but you're the middle chapter in a trilogy right now. You need to set up episode 9. You need to give whoever the next storyteller is some stuff to build towards and now give us a huge, satisfying conclusion to in episode 9.
Yeah.
So that is where Rian Johnson let me down. But the idea of someone like that coming in and making Star Wars their own excites the hell out of me.
Well, everyone complained that 7 was too similar. So then 8 was way different. Everyone got mad. And honestly, J.J. Abrams, I'm going to say it. You would not have been
Jar Jar Abrams.
Jar Jar Abrams. 8 would not have been as bad if Jar Jar Abrams was bold enough and brave enough to really continue what Rian Johnson had set up. Episode 9 had the chance to retroactively make 8 great. And they were too scared. And also, I don't think...
But I think
they also never had a plan.
7 great, and it didn't.
You're right. But and then that goes back to what I was just about to say. There was no plan. It was
that is the big thing,
was
right?
Chaos. So
hang on.
Yeah.
Can we preface whatever point you have about this?
I mean, that was the point. That was the point.
Well, because I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you, like, now that we've seen The Mandalorian, okay? Now that we've seen what could happen when somebody who knows how to be nostalgic yet break new ground
Yes.
can actually sequelize Return of the Jedi. My question to you is, does a part of you wish that they had never done the sequel trilogy? And that instead we could have had The Mandalorian and all these other Disney Plus type TV series to expand the mythology and then show us what episodes 7, 8, and 9 should and could be. Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, listen, Return of the Jedi, it ended perfectly.
It ended the story.
It really did. And just 7, 8, and 9 didn't do anything. It continued the story, I guess, but it ultimately just said Kylo Ren's bad and now he's redeemed, and you just did the same story again, but maybe not as good.
I mean, that's the thing that I'm hoping too with Mandalorian, though, because they did kind of delve into the fact that, like, the Empire is rising from the ashes, and I would love to find out how that becomes the First Order. So I guess
we're getting there. I mean, that's 100% there. I mean, finish your thought.
No, but I guess, like, part of what excites me about all these shows that were just announced is that, and I brought this up on episode 120, was that hopefully they can make episodes 7, 8, and 9 even better by adding to the lore and giving greater context for what happened in 7, 8, and 9.
I'm just about to say this.
Because without the greater context, a part of me feels like 7, 8, 9 shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Because
you maybe thought of this already, but for those who maybe didn't catch on, the whole reason Moff Gideon wants Grogu's blood is to make a better clone body for Palpatine. He has a high midichlorian count. All of the clone bodies have been failing, like the Snoke. Remember in episode 9 you saw all the failed Snoke bodies in those tanks? That is why. Why do you think he wants his blood?
Why do you keep melting my brain?
They are retroactively kind of making the new trilogy better. But that's the reason why they need the blood. They're already, Moff Gideon he's part of the First Order. They're not called that yet, but they already have stuff going on in the Outer Rim, the Exegol, all that stuff is there. They didn't name drop it yet, but that's why they need his blood. They needed something to make a stronger clone body. All of the clone bodies have failed, with the exception of the clone body for Rey's father.
I hate you so much. Why didn't I think of this?
He was Rey's father is technically a failed Palpatine clone. I mean, he is a failed Palpatine clone. He wasn't strong enough to like have enough midichlorian count to support Palpatine's body. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why she's Palpatine's grandchild. So they actually are kind of retroactively making it better, but I mean, it's still a mess.
So again, to answer your question, I'm with you. I want something new. in my heart of heart, and that's the only thing that kind of confuses me about how to feel about Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, is that what I really want is an episode 1.
Yeah.
I want the beginning of an all-new saga. Rogue Squadron sounds like it's just going to be another fill-in movie.
Yeah.
And here's hoping, fingers crossed, here's hoping it's a fill-in for some era of Star Wars that we've never seen before. I swear, it's tough because I want her to... I love what you said before about her expanding on Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
But another part of me also feels like I love to see her tackle something I've never seen before. You know what I mean?
But I mean, the fact that you are, it's implied they're still in the world of X-Wings and TIE fighters, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, how different really could it be? It's still attached to the New Republic and most likely the Empire or the First Order. So if they set it between the OG trilogy and the new trilogy, you're kind of in the Mandalorian zone. That's what I call it, the Mandalorian zone. Highway to the Mandalorian zone. All right, so you have that. Or you have the between the prequel trilogy and the OG trilogy, or it's just like a mission that happened like during the years of, between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because we do have how long's the gap between that? Like 5 years, I think, between Empire and Return.
Empire and Return.
Mandalorian's 5 years after Return. I know that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly positive.
There is actually a several year gap between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
That makes sense.
And I don't remember exactly, so forgive me.
I might have known before wine.
Yeah, wine happens.
It's wine o'clock on Christmas Day.
Oh, I don't like that you said that.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, man. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So yeah, I don't know where you said it. You actually mentioned something on the last episode that
he listens to my show.
I do listen to the show, which is weird because he's one of my really good friends.
I can just tell him what I'm thinking.
He's a real life really good friend. So then what happens is I listen to the podcast because I drive all day. That's what I do. And then I find myself trying to talk back to him like I'm on the phone with him. I'm just not joking. I sometimes want to say stuff to you and I'm like, oh, it's not really him. I'm not on the phone with Mario. But it's a testament to how good he is as a conversationalist that I feel like my friend is in the car with me. So
there you go.
He's a tremendous podcaster, as you already know if you listen.
Stop it.
So he's good. So
keep going.
But yeah, you actually brought up Dash Rendar.
Yes,
and
I
Shadow
did.
of the Empire. And so what a great N64 game. So fun fact, I actually read the novel.
You did?
It's the one
wow.
like Legends. Well, now they're called Star Wars Legends. They're not like canon anymore. But it's the
I know.
the one that I did read.
Although slowly everything's becoming canon. Like they want to bring in Thrawn and other things.
They're bringing stuff in now. So,
but anyway, keep going.
But that book's really cool. It's a cool story, and it actually does intersect. The only thing is it does intersect with Leia and Luke and
Empire
Han.
Strikes Back.
Because it's like right before. But what's cool, and if you played the game or obviously read the book, the end is basically a 3-way fight between the Empire, the Republic, and then I forgot he's a green man, and he has pheromones, and he tries to seduce Leia, and he's on this ship called the Skyhook. That's all I really remember. I forgot his name. It has an X, I think. It's like Xanadu or something. It's not Xanadu. Isn't that a musical?
Yeah, I think it is. It's like a roller skating
That's the one they did in
musical.
Family Guy.
Yeah, way to go.
It's Starlight Express or something. That's not that.
Wow.
Xanadu. So I don't know. He has a weird name. But that what's cool especially in the game, there's a 3-way fight. So like everyone's an enemy. Like the Republic wants to kill the Green Man and Empire. The Empire wants to kill the Green Man and the Republic, and the Green Man wants to kill both them.
Yeah.
So it's like a crazy dogfight. Like which is kind of it's a 3-way fight.
Wow.
So that's actually pretty cool. There's a lot of really really neat stuff in that. So
when it comes to unexplored territory, you're down to just check out some stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Right? But let me ask you also though, now that we've opened up this Luke doorway, okay? And I'm surprised I can remember this because I've had 4 glasses of wine.
Yes, I want it. Whatever you're about to say. Yes.
No, but now that we've opened this Luke doorway, do you want to see more of Luke between episodes 6 and 7?
All right.
Or rather, Luke between 6 and 8 when we get to him on Octo.
I am 1,000% on board with Sebastian Stan which is
That's what I was gonna.
He's a good actor.
We should podcast together.
We should.
We have good ideas.
Because everyone was so mad that, like, was it Alden Ehrenreich?
Alden Ehrenreich
didn't look like Han Solo, although I did think he did a great job in the film. Whatever. At me. Don't at me. Don't at me.
Even though he was like 5'8".
I'm going to bring back a joke from the Play It Loudcast. At me if I'm wrong, dog. So, yeah, whatever. He didn't look. Sebastian Stan looks like Mark Hamill. Does. He's a really good actor. I've seen him in more stuff than just Winter Soldier. He's talented. Just give it to me. Like I am
just give it to me.
At this point, like, I trust that guy enough. And again, if you have like Favreau and Filoni involved, or like even honestly any of the directors that have been working on The Mandalorian with them, like that team they put together, Taika Waititi, Bryce Dallas Howard, what's his face, the guy he was going to do Flash, Rick Famuyiwa.
Rick Famuyiwa.
Famuyiwa. So yeah, him, and then there was actually fun fact too. Ant-Man's Peyton Reed directed that season finale.
He was so good.
From Mandalorian season 2.
He was so good.
And then what's Deborah
Cho,
who's doing the Obi-Wan series. There's a great group of people there. Yeah, I would love to see maybe maybe we switch to a series with Luke and Grogu. I don't know.
I mean, so
I don't want that, but I would like to see Luke in between. Maybe like he's just solo. Like we should totally do like a Ronin thing, and because Luke is just by himself, just taking down little like Empire outposts. I am all about that, and then lead to him. Lead up to the Kylo Ren moment where he had. I want to talk about this really quick, too.
Okay, bring it. Do it. You're on my show. I brought you on here to do what you do.
I'm the fun boy.
Do what you do.
So,
I have no more wine in this bottle.
Terrible. I am all... to all the people that are like, hated Luke in The Last Jedi, and I've seen a lot of people say, he would never do that. He would never have a lapse in judgment. I mean, I'm going to make the argument... I think throughout the original trilogy, you see Luke struggle between light and dark. Mm-hmm. In the cave, in Empire Strikes Back, fighting against it. We see him almost turn to the dark side in Return of the Jedi against his father. Yeah. And obviously, he has the better judgment. But even the fact that, listen, Return of the Jedi, he shows up in the all black, just like Anakin. Every other Jedi wears like beige and white. He's wearing all black. The fact that, people were mad that he, almost killed Kylo Ren in that flashback sequence. That's right on par for him. And just to add to it now with the season finale of Mandalorian Season 2, one of the big things that people talk about, most Jedis, when you see them use the Force, they use what they call, I'm going to get really nerdy right now, they use the Force push. There's really not Force choking from Jedi. It's Force pushing. I don't know if you noticed, but there's one part where Luke in the season finale straight up crushes a dude. I mean, it's not a guy, it's a robot, but he gets one of those dark troopers and he crushes it. So I argue that you see Luke, I think, tapping into both sides of the Force. I think he's always been a conflicted character. And for those who are saying, shut up, Brett, like, it makes him more interesting. No one is interesting when they're purely good.
Yes.
It's the same argument, like, it's one of the reasons why I like Man of Steel. That's my favorite Superman movie.
I like it now too,
and I know you like it now too. Because it's not to say that you can't have an interesting character.
You're perfect all the time.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, maybe you could have a good character that's perfect all the time, but like it's human. It's like we struggle between that every day, light and dark. It's the everlasting battle until the day you die. It's the struggle between light and dark. So the people that say like that Rian Johnson, that's one thing I don't have a problem with in that movie, the way he depicted Luke. I think that was way in character. Mark Hamill didn't even agree with that, and I think he's wrong.
Listen, I'm with you. There's been a lot of people who've been complaining ever since episode 8 of season 2 came out that Favreau is trying to retcon the way Luke is shown in The Last Jedi.
On Twitter. All right.
And I don't see it. There's so much time between what we just saw and what happens in episode 8. And they even keep the convention of like that lone X-Wing.
Yeah.
That he's always traveling around doing things on his own. We've been watching since episode 8, where he goes to Dagobah in the X-Wing, and then goes to the Cloud City in the A-Wing. In episode 9, In episode 6, he goes to Tatooine to save Han Solo and Leia on the X-Wing. Like, there's nothing about what we just saw that actually cancels out what we've seen. And there's so much time between him getting Grogu and what happens in episode 8 that's like, anyone who's trying to say that Favreau is trying to contradict Rian Johnson, you're not paying attention. There's so much room, and on top of that, if anything, it makes episode 8 more fascinating.
Yeah.
That like even a few years after Return of the Jedi, he was still thinking he could train some new, Padawan and create a new Jedi Order. By the time we get to see him in episode 8, he doesn't think any of that. He thinks that the entire Jedi Order should disappear, that it's not good anymore, that it's not relevant anymore, that it's caused more harm than good.
And he's right. The movies show that through the prequel trilogy all the way up to that moment. They prove that. But listen, like, the fact that, like, oh, Luke is so good. His father even struggled with the light and the dark.
Yeah.
That whole Clone Wars series is about that. The prequels are all about that. He even changed from the dark side back to the light at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Of course he'd almost kill his nephew.
Yeah, of course. So, why is that, like, such, like, I know everyone just wants, like, Luke to be pure, but, like, it's not interesting. It's not interesting to be completely pure. It's more interesting that he did try. And listen, again, we're talking about the inevitable Sebastian Stan series where we see that actual transformation happen. I mean, I think if we saw that and it was done well, I think people would change their tune.
Yeah.
But it doesn't not make sense that he would have done that.
Yeah.
It does not at all. It's like, it's probably the most human part of the new trilogy is that, I just kind of wish maybe that he made it to episode 9. That was maybe my big thing,
I mean, if they had known that Carrie Fisher was going to die, they might have kept him around.
Yeah, no, I think they would have. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of obviously like real world things that affected that. A lot of real world things that affected that movie. And the director changes last minute. I mean, there was a mess. Like, it was a public mess.
Isn't it fascinating how like this series has the capability of making hypocrites out of us?
Yeah.
Because there's the part of us that's like, I want something totally new. I want episode 1, 2, 3 of an all new trilogy about a family I've never seen before, a bloodline that I've never known before, the origin of the Jedi and the Sith and the this and the that. But if there was a Luke Skywalker series on Disney
I'm
Plus
still
tomorrow, I'm like, oh, I want to see that.
I mean, listen, if there's interesting story to mine, I'm like, Mario, you can speak to this too. Like, we both come from the theater. We have like theater degrees from college. Like, we love the art of acting. We love character development. We love stories.
Someone having an arc starting one way and ending another.
Yeah, we love that. We're like, we're drawn to that. So if you can give me a good story, I am just on board. I again, like, did I need the Han Solo movie? No, but I thought the story was good.
It was so good.
It was really good. I think we're getting one of the 40 series is a Lando series, but they haven't announced if it's Donald Glover, which I'm like, if it's not, then I don't want
then
it.
don't even freaking
That's one
bother.
thing. I don't want it if it's not Donald Glover.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, for me, I think the people that were crying blasphemy, I mean, I think you're wrong, and I think you're wrong. Favreau and Filoni, I think really, they did. Luke barely said anything in that, but just watching him go through those Dark Troopers shows you. And there's also like I think this is like also stuff that's in like some of the novels and books with legends, but there's actually a whole concept of the gray Jedi that are able to pull. They kind of, honestly, like, they touched on it in episode 8 with the big tree and the book of the Jedi and everything.
The book of the Wills or whatever the hell that is. Yeah.
The Wills and like all this stuff. But there's like stuff in the books of Jedi that are able to master and pull from both the light and dark side, and they're like basically the strongest ones. And I was actually hoping that they were going to maybe touch on that in episode 8 with Luke, that like he did kind of was able to master it, but then eventually came to the decision that, no, Jedis are not good. This is bad.
Yeah.
And also, like, you actually, the fact that it's called The Last Jedi, I mean, like, the fact that, like, I keep seeing Jedi introduced in, like, the Clone Wars, and even, like, we see Ahsoka still around during The Mandalorian, like, I'm like, so he never really was. I just think like he maybe thinks he is because he's not in contact with any other ones, but there's a lot of Jedi I think still out there in the universe.
Yeah, I think
That's
so
me, though.
too.
What do I know?
Brett, brother man, I just need to thank you for coming on the show this week.
Thank you.
For a very fanboy Christmas. I need to say too, like, I'm sorry that things in my life got so complicated that the Revengers became something I couldn't really follow up on too often. But
not your fault.
You came on the Fanboy, and I want to have you on more often. So I just want to say, like, sorry for what happened with the Revengers.
You don't need to apologize for that, but thank you. Like, thanks, I guess. I don't know.
But thank you for coming on the Fanboy. This has been an awesome talk, hasn't it? So, Brett, how can people find you on the Instagram? Since you're such an inspirational figure.
So I'll be honest, I am like, since the Revengers stopped, I am like really bad on social media. Like I'm almost non-existent. So I apologize to people that I used to talk to and that like, I don't do anything anymore.
Brett doesn't exist
I'm going to
anymore.
try to be better about it, but I'm mostly on Twitter. I am on Instagram too, but I don't post anything fun. So follow me on Twitter. It's at BrettCon5. Yeah, I would especially love to hear from y'all, regarding, you know, the stuff we discussed about today. I would be happy to continue on it. Mario, thank you for having me.
Dude.
It was so nice to come. I've been like holding all this in for like like seriously, since the Revengers ended, I've been holding so much nerd geek stuff in. So I'm so happy to have been able to come on and do that. I would love to do this more. I mean,
we will.
If we can even resurrect the Revengers at some point, I'm in.
Banana, are you paying attention?
I know you're with the Fanboy Garage now, so I don't blame you because we didn't, you know, to come full circle, Banana was actually like a big proponent of trying to get the Revengers going again.
She was trying to get this going again.
And
yes.
It was, you know, life, you know, so it just is what it is. But yeah, maybe we'll get that going again. Maybe we'll do something. I don't know. You might see me start doing video game stuff again. I'm hoping, we'll see. Maybe cautiously wait for like the middle of January. There might be something from me.
Hey!
If not, I'm going to push him to at least have me on. If you guys like me, if you hate me, then I won't. But if you like this, I'm going to push him that maybe I'll try to do it like, you know, every once a month, every other month or something like that. I would love to, even if it's via Skype or Zoom or something. So, you know, thank you for listening to me. Hopefully I didn't disrupt your normal Mario episode too much. And
it's Christmas time.
Have a very happy holiday, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. You know, Festivus for the rest of us.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's been amazing. It's a very fanboy Christmas.
It sure is.
That was pretty cool, huh? Yeah, it's moving into 2021. It's something that I've been toying with now, where I kind of want to have a rotating co-host chair, where every few weeks, maybe once a month, I'll have someone join me for a show. And it won't be like an interview or anything like that. It'll more just somebody else to bounce these geek topics off of and to kind of add some extra perspective to the show. And, you know, I have a lot of great friends in this realm of the world who have already mentioned that they'd love to come on the Fanboy and talk some geekness with me, including people who write for other sites, people who have their own podcasts. So you'll see that's something that's coming up in the year to come. And speaking of things that are coming up in the year to come, next week is New Year's Eve, and I will be taking New Year's off, so there will not be a new episode of the show next week. I will be back the following Friday after New Year's Eve, which I believe that's probably January 6th or 7th. I should probably know that sort of thing. But yes, so I will see you guys again in 2 weeks. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas day, or if you're watching this afterward, I hope you had a great holiday. No matter what you were celebrating or how you celebrated, I know we're all doing the best we can amidst this crazy 2020 that we're all living through. So I hope you had a great holiday. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Fanboy Podcast. Maybe if you're feeling a little extra generous today for the holiday and you haven't yet written me a review, it would be amazing if you can get on over to Apple Podcasts and leave your boy a 5-star review for Christmas. And I will see you in the new year. So until next time, life is chaos. Be kind. Adios.